the dream. Yeah.
What's up, guys? Sunday, straight from the chest. I'm your host, Justin Groth. This is my podcast. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for those that are viewing, listening online. I appreciate you 100,000,000%. And guys, this is a personal development podcast. This will be correlated around my own personal experiences, God, etc. So for those of you who do not want to hear about that, it's probably not the podcast for you. But without further ado, guys, have you ever been in a situation where you get to be around people that are of higher marks than you, that have higher leadership positions than maybe you do at the time? I think one of the coolest things about my job as a personal trainer, for those of you who don't know, I'm a personal trainer, and one of the coolest things about my job is that I get to service people that are in high positions. Some of these people are lawyers, they're doctors or physicians, and they hold some type of a leadership position in their life, right? And so the reason why I feel I'm so grateful to be of service to that person is because it's kind of humbling, right? These people have these different positions of leadership, and yet they need somebody to help them. Now, I believe this with all of my being, that if you yourself are in a leadership position, and let's say you are the marker to meet, in other words, people come to you to solve their problems, or to be an answer to their problem, or solve or be a solution to their situation. They come to you, they run to you for advice, they run to you for help. And if you're that person in that leadership position, then you have somewhat of an authoritarian a role to play, and that can be a great thing, right? There comes a lot of responsibility with that. There comes a lot of desire to be your best, to be the most servant to be the most serving to the people that are coming to you, right? But also it can be very challenging to go above and beyond that position. And what I mean by that is, if you're not, as the leader, consistently challenged as being a leader, then you'll never be the exact leader that God wants you to be, or God's called you to be, I believe. And let me give you some context to that. So in my gym, I go to this local gym here in Rio Grande, and they have trainers there at the gym. Now, these trainers, every month, there's a award for the Trainer of the Month given. And to my knowledge, because I know a lot of the trainers in there, there's been a long time running of Trainer of the Month to one specific person. We'll call that person Bonnie. And there's another trainer that this month got Trainer of the Month instead of Bonnie. And we'll call him Clyde. And so Clyde is a new trainer, and Bonnie is an old trainer. And Bonnie is nonetheless great at what she does. She's very optimistic, supportive of not only her staff but the members in the facility. And just so you understand, too, Trainer of the Month is not just given to the highest earner. Trainer of the Month is given to people respectively that are progressing in their craft, are also continually reinforcing or reassuring members and their training staff, being a positive reinforcement to them and building them up, being a team leader, so to speak, right? So for a long time running, there's been this one person that's been Trainer of the Month. And now there's another trainer that has, like I said, just mentioned, coming onto the scene, and he is hungry. And he's not hungry in the respects of, I gotta be the top earner. He's hungry to better himself. He's hungry to learn. And he's hungry for his best, truest version to unfold. Like I said, Clyde, this guy is hungry. And a lot of times as leaders, let's just call Bonnie the leader in this illustration here. A lot of times as the leader, we do not answer the call to strive for higher. Because look, if we're the answer to people's questions and we're the solution to their problem and we are the ones that they come up to and ask and are led by, why would we want to strive higher? We're the marker. We're the preeminent, right? When I say we're, I mean anybody that's in a leadership position, pastors included. We are the preeminent. We are the anointed, so to speak. We are the pinnacle. We are the paramount, etc., etc. So why would we have the innate drive to want to be anything bigger or better when we fill the gaps in so many different respects and we are the solution and we are the answer in so many different respects? It's very, very easy to fall into that complacency, that normalcy, when we seem to have all the answers at our fingertips and all the solutions to people's problems, and we are again of a certain clout with regards to people and how they position us, and we're the leader. But what is making us want to grow, want to manifest into something that's greater, that's better? Because I feel as though a lot of people, when I'm speaking of leaders, a lot of people, when they position themselves, they only position themselves and they climb to the point where they're leaders in their community, but then they stop. Because being a leader in your community is big. Being a leader in your group of friends, that's big. Being a leader to your peers and being the preeminent in regards to your peers that you position yourself with, that's big. But that can also be a digression, because you consistently want to continually keep measuring up and striving for more and striving for higher, not because you're clawing and you're trying to pry and you're going against the grain or you're hustling or grinding, but because there's something more that God wants to do in your life. There's more. You are called to be maybe more of an influencer, more of a leader. But because the position that you're in is giving you so much exaltation, you become complacent. But for good reason, right? Because you're a leader in your position, you're a leader in your respected craft, and you don't feel the nudge or the urgency to climb higher. But maybe God be calling you to climb higher. Maybe God's trying to reposition or trying to reach out to you, but you're not answering. You're not submitting. You're not surrendering, because where you are is gratifying enough, and where you are is giving you enough self-worth. And all of that's great. But I'm telling you to not miss out on possible opportunities that God wants to bring you into. Because he may be calling you. You may not be answering that call only because where you're at, you're pretty established, and it's self-gratifying, and you are, again, an answer to people. But you are only an answer to people on that low level, right? You're a big fish in a small pond. But maybe God wants to bring you into the ocean. Maybe he wants to take you from the pond and bring you into the ocean so you can infect people on a global level. And that may be something that you're not willing to receive, or you can't fathom. And because you can't fathom it, you reject it. But that doesn't mean that's not the God that you serve. That doesn't mean that God is going to reject it. That doesn't mean that God can't fathom it. Because listen to me. He has unexplainable things he wants to do in your life. unexplainable, unimaginable to your mind, inconceptual to your human mind. But just because you can't conceive it, or you can't position it, or you can't fathom it, doesn't mean that it's not doable by his hand. And for you to reject it, because you can't see it, because it's not tangible to you, you're coming up shorter than where God made you to be. Now, going back to the story of the trainers in my gym, I'm sorry, I get off topic. I'm sorry, really, really easy. I got ADD. You got to bear with me. So, when I was speaking about Bonnie and Clyde, look, Clyde took Trainer of the Month because he was progressive and he was hungrier than Clyde, and then Bonnie was, because Bonnie's been doing this forever, right? And Bonnie's been looked at as the leader, as the top earner, as the go-to. But Clyde, he's hungrier. He has more thirst in him. He's absorbing more. He's learning more. And because of that, it's setting him on more of a fire than Bonnie. And it's noticed. It's noticed by his management. And so because of that, look, he took Trainer of the Month. Now, that left Bonnie emotional. Emotional because that spot was taken from her. But you can look at this from two different aspects, or two different avenues. One, it's going to cause Bonnie to get discouraged, and it's going to cause Bonnie to decline and lose motivation, or it can cause her to step her game up. It can cause her to rise to a challenge that she hasn't witnessed in some time because she's the leader. It's going to cause her to reset and recalibrate her vision. And that is going to be the catalyst to her new growth. That's going to be the catalyst. I hope that you accept those challenges as catalysts to your growth, because you weren't made, quite possibly, the calling that's on your life. I'm not saying this is everybody, because not everybody is called, not everybody's chosen. Not chosen to be a big fish in a big pond. But maybe you were. And maybe you're not answering that call because you're complacent where you're at, because you got it good. You got it good where you're at, and people look up to you, and you have your close knit of peers that look up to you and give you constant daily reassurance on how great you are. And you have little to no critique. And so you're constantly getting built and built and built. And you may think that's serving. And that is, maybe for a season. But what if that season was up 2 years ago and you stayed there because you didn't want to lace your boots back up and climb further up that mountain? You got comfortable. Kind of similar to when you take a hike up a mountain and you get to the top and you rest and you kind of sulk in the scenery, the environment, because you've made it to the top. But don't put a period where God puts a comma, right? That's a comma. You're made to continue to climb. You're made to continue to climb, but you have to get uncomfortable again. Get uncomfortable and take that extra step. You got to continue to lace your boots back up and get back up that mountain, because he's got more to do with you. He's got more to give you. He's got more to exalt you with. Your leadership position is great, but what if he wants to bring you on a global level What if he wants to bring you to a global level? And what if he wants to do unfathomable things in your life, but because you can't see them, because they're not tangible, you reject them? What if you were meant to stay in a small pond? What if you were meant to go out in the ocean and be an infection in the ocean? What if that was your calling? The only way you'll know is if you continue to reposition yourself and recalibrate and put yourself against people that are better than you. Bring yourself around people that know more than you, that have done more than you, that make you feel uncomfortable, that make you feel convicted, that make you feel challenged. You need to position yourself around those people. Let me be honest. I, as a trainer, don't concern myself with other trainers in this area. And not because I think I'm better than them, but because what they're doing on this level, in this area, is what I did 5-6 years ago. That may sting if you're a trainer and you hear me, but understand that I just want to continually get better, so I continually reposition myself and humble myself around people that I know more than me, that have doctorates and that have been in the field for decades. That's the only way I know that I'm going to A, stay humble, and B, keep growing. But I don't concern myself with people or trainers that are just starting. I don't not take them in, I don't not surround myself with them, but they're not a part of my growing team. What I mean by that is I don't look to them for advices because what they're doing I did 5-6 years ago. But I'm more than honored to be around them. But I surround myself with people that I know more than me and I know are higher than me, because I know that's the only way I'm going to continue to climb. Because it's not of me to stay normal. It's not of me to stay on an ordinary level, and it's not of you. That's not your makeup. I know it's not my makeup. But I must keep repositioning myself around people that are just better than me. They're just better. I gotta continue to stay humble. I gotta continue to climb. Because if I stop growing, and then I can't be of service to multiple people like I know I'm supposed to be. I'm supposed to be that. That's the only thing in me that's keeping me going. That and the indescribable feeling on a visceral level that I feel to continuously produce the things that I'm producing. One being this podcast. I don't do this podcast for likes or popularity. I do it because I know so many people are just like me that need to be heard these things. And I know that I can deliver. I know that I can speak to you. I know that you need to hear these things. I know that it's water to your soul, not because I'm that good, but because of what God gives me. It's only through God that I'm anything. I hope you understand that that's the position that I'm coming from. So like these trainers, like anybody in any industry, pastors, apprentices in different fields of construction, or if you're an apprentice in the ironworking field, or if you're an apprentice as a trainer, or if you're in any respective field, you need to continuously surround yourself with people that challenge you, that make you better, because honestly, these people, they're gifts. They're not meant for your digression, or they're not meant for your regression. They're meant to keep you rising. And if you don't position yourself in that regard and you continuously think that, you're the leader and you don't have to get better because look at everybody around you that's listening to you and that's acting through you and that's taking advices from you, you'll never be your best. You'll never climb to that level that God wants you at. You just won't. But trust me, the humility that you receive is worth the exaltation in the end. Let me say that again. The humility you receive from humbling yourself around people that know more than you and can do more for you and be more of a service to you, in the end, can exalt you to higher levels. But can you break through that barrier of humility? Can you allow yourself to relish in the process and not have your eyesight just set on the production? The preparation is the most meaningful thing of your existence. The preparation for your exaltation. But that's the hardest thing to undergo. That's the hardest thing to receive. But God's calling you, I believe, to be a big fish in a big pond. It's okay to be a big fish amongst other big fishes. You don't have to be a big fish in a small pond, even though that's initially more instantly self-gratifying. I think God's calling you for bigger purposes. I know God's calling me for a bigger purpose. I don't know what that yet is, but I'm continuously striving and preparing and practicing for that day. Because I believe it. I believe it with every fiber. You don't have to. No one else has to. I believe it. So I'm preparing myself and I'm positioning myself around people that I know are better than me. Because I know that I have a higher calling. I know that I'm going to be a big fish in a big pond. It's just a matter of time. I urge you to strive to have a higher position. That may mean humbling yourself in the position that you have now in order to climb higher. You're a big fish meant for an ocean, not a pond.